What's up, good people? Welcome back. Welcome back. And what I'm tentatively calling the Sunday Assembly, where me and Ike could get together. Yesterday we were joined by a cast of characters. We got together and chopped it up about a number of ideas, chopped it up about a number of good ideas. Today we're going to be talking about something that was mentioned in the last show on why do Nigerians have a less than 1% divorce rate. We're going to be talking about that and a number of other things. So, without further ado, strap on in. Let's get ready to go. Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mumia Obsidian Ali. You know who I am. I need no introduction, right? And you're listening to the Grown Man Hour with my man Bernard Riley, heard weekdays right here on YouTube. What do you think about that? How about that? Now let's get back on with the show. Thank you.
What is up, everybody? What's up, good people? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. I see Stoic One in the building. Shout out to the early bird squads, those that make it in bright and early before we even get things going here, before I can even get it started. Appreciate all of you coming through. Shout out to Stoic One. Shout out to Jay the Conqueror in the building. Shout out to Ike. He says sandwich or it's utter destruction up in here. Right on. That's my assumption about that less than 1% divorce rate in Nigeria. That is my assumption. Shout out to Ike. He's in the back waiting to come up. Royce J in the building says greetings, gents. Aaron B in the building. Young J says blessings, everybody. Body Thug. Peace to you. Peace to you. Okay, who is this? Vagoose, Stephanie Badcase. I think I got that right. Shout out to you. Appreciate you coming on through. Canis Lupus in the building. Gearzy Net says, first time catching the show. Shout out to Bernard in the chat. And last but not least, Terrence B in the building. Last but not least, Terrence B in the building. Hey, I haven't had a follow-up conversation with you. Have you got rid of that girlfriend yet? Yeah, you need to get rid of her. But anyway. Anyway, without further ado, we got Ike. You in the dark, man. You
Hold on, let me. I thought
yeah.
let me turn up the.
And while I wait for you to do that, we do got update. Terrence B did get rid of the crazy girlfriend who had the the baby daddy that she was kind of technically still sleeping with, and he jumped out the bushes on him. Terrence B did get rid of her. However, given his track record, he probably already engaged to a new chick that has just as many problems. Sorry, Terrence B. I had to clown you a little bit. That was a funny show. It's on Patreon. But shout out to Terrence B. We're in the building. We're in here. Ike know good and well that was deliberate, that he was just trying to do his Kevin Samuels thing. That's all that was. He was trying to be in the dark, and you had your little colorful accent lights, but the accent lights weren't scrolling around, so you're like, oh wait, hold on, and you just hit the regular light switch. You know that's what happened. we know what you was trying to do there, man. It's okay. Okay.
I messed up. Next time, I'll
You'll
get
the
theatrics right. Yeah.
You'll get it right. He says Ike is romantic mode I think he means is on romantic mode. I see. LMAO. Yeah, and Terrence B says no new relationships. What do you think about that? Guys who this is completely off subject. Oh, and shout out to Sunjata Reborn. He got a question right out the gate. Before we even get to that, I'll just throw a question out there to you. There's a guy on my show, Terrence B. He bounced from relationship to relationship extremely fast. He was engaged. He was married, got divorced, got engaged again before the divorce even went through, broke up with the fiance over something weird. And then he's going to the courthouse to finalize or to do some of his divorce proceedings, and he's going to the courthouse with a new girlfriend. So in the time it took for him to get fully divorced, he had a new fiance and a new fiance broke up, a new girlfriend broke up, and he says there's no new one. What do you think what's your thoughts on that? Just your general thoughts on that? Somebody who just goes, a guy who moves that fast in terms of.
I have sentiments about it in the sense that I'm not that kind of guy, for example. And I always found, do you know the movie? There's a movie called I Love You, Man. It's like a comedy.
Yeah.
Well, basically, it's exactly that kind of thing where and it was aptly described in the beginning. So you have one guy, he's like, let's just call him kind of alpha. He lives in some kind of garage, or he plays guitar. He's got the swag, whatever. It's two white dudes, right? So you have one free, willing, live, let live, blah, blah, blah guy out there. And then you have this other guy, Mr. Relationship Man. And in the beginning of the movie, it described him as just going from relationship to relationship to relationship. He's always been in relationships. And my sentiments about that is not typical male behavior. And it's not necessarily the case that it means that there's something off with the person. We always like to talk about the bell curve here. You're going to have men who are more social, if you will, and that kind of thing. They want to be in relationships. They like being in a warm bowl of porridge. You can tell by the way I'm saying it how I think about it.
Damn. A warm bowl of porridge?
I'm like, yeah, that's kind of how I look at them. Like, you guys can't just get the hell out, get out of that porridge. And it tends to affect their ability to see themselves, know what they want. The cliches, right? You need to be able to separate, but especially for men. So those kinds of guys who are just relationship to relationship to relationship, and boom, and then they get married. It's like, dude, anyways, I don't think it gives them room to really understand the game that they're playing in. They never left the game to look at it from the outside. That's kind of how I see it.
Yeah. I find it odd. I remember myself post-divorce. I couldn't be more happily single. I felt like I was, and this is where I'm going to sound corny and cliche. Like I was getting to know myself. I had to learn myself by myself without somebody else around. So that if that makes any sense, I mean, just to get just as a bowl of porridge corny with it, I felt like I needed to do something. So it was yeah, it was an interesting stream, definitely, nonetheless. But yeah, no, I've never understood that. There's yeah, I'm I'm not going to talk about it too much because I don't want to throw too many more jabs at them. I don't want to throw too many more jabs at them. But no, it was definitely interesting. It was definitely interesting. Got a super chat in the building. The first one out the gate. Appreciate you coming. Soon Jota Reborn says questions. Is the stat for marriages in Nigeria? What are the stats for Nigerian marriages in US? And then Nigerian men, ADOS women, Nigerian women, ADOS men. Huh. I guess that one's for you. You got the daunting task of divvying all of that up.
Oh
But go
no,
ahead.
well, I'm not a statistician, but answer to the first question is the stat, the less than 1% stat, the one in question, the one that was brought up in your last segment,
Mhm.
is for in Nigeria, like straight up in Nigeria.
Mhm.
And it'll be interesting to see, how things. I'm sure it's going to be different because I think these statistics will reflect the environment that you're actually in. So, but these are statistics for in Nigeria. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm sure 100% it'll be different if when you. And then the breakdown, ADOS men versus I think, oh yeah, that'll be interesting to see. I don't know if those kinds of records are. I'm sure somebody is keeping those records, and it'll be interesting to see. But did you actually Google to see, the 0.5%?
I didn't
That's what it
actually
actually is.
Google it. I didn't
Okay.
Google it.
So anyone now can Google it, and it's a 0.5%. It's zero point 0.2 filed by men and 0.3 filed by women. So you can still see.
Oh, women are filing more. Even then.
No matter what, that's always the case. So it's typically on the women's side. And this is not. I hope no one looks. It is not. That's not a problem. It's just like the nature of things, right?
Mhm.
If two people are in a restaurant and something starts going a little awry, a couple, right, a man and a woman, one storms out of the restaurant, like gets up and leaves. Who is it that does that? Typically you can say, well, about 80% of the time, it's the woman leaving in a
Mhm.
fit. So are you gonna be like, oh, that's strange? Like, no, that's kind of how the woman is, and it's fine. It's okay. It's good. Now, how do you reduce the level of her leaving? Right. That's the question. But no matter what, she'll still leave more, as we can see. It's 0.5%, less than 1%, but women are filing the majority of that 0.5%.
Mhm. Mhm. Thank you for that super chat. Appreciate that. As we ease more into that topic and deal with the why it's so low, we do got a number of things that we are going to get into. You have mentioned something about the importance of aesthetics. I think I mess that word up every time I say it. You say it.
It's aesthetics. It's
Okay, I
you
feel
said it
like
right. Yeah.
it's something about the A E, just two vowels, the
Yeah.
S, then a TH. No matter, even if I say it right, I feel like I'm saying it wrong. Aesthetics. It's like it's like your tongue does something weird every time. Well, my tongue does something weird every time I say that. But no, you had mentioned that, and we were going to touch on that before we dig.
Oh, so you want to touch on that before you go into the okay? That
Well, well,
works.
well,
That
well.
works.
Either way, well, if it works better
Uh,
to do it the other way, that's fine too. What did
yeah,
you
I
have in
think
mind?
that I think we should attack this one up front. I mean, this head on first, and then we can move on into the other. And then by the time probably opening up the panel, people want to revert back to the
Got you, got you. That okay? That
yeah.
makes sense. That makes
Let's
sense.
do
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We didn't exactly plan that part out, but yeah, good. We're eye to eye on that now. Wait, hold on, real quick before we get even further in that. Good man in the building. He says 1 out of 4 married women commit paternity fraud. So there's that. Salute to the church. Morning. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that.
It's a Nigerian stat, by the way.
Wow.
What he just But you know that stat. It's not like they're going and checking everybody. If you're checking everybody, then everybody would know. Blah blah blah. That kind of thing. It's you get it, right?
Yeah.
People who go to check. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one thing I tried to say the last time that was brought up on my show. They were just talking about in the U.S. I I guess I kind of got accused of putting my cape on, but I was like, wait a minute, it's not a solid 1 out of 4. It's those the way I explained it, those that suspect are typically the ones who go check, and so of those that suspect, it's 1 out of 4. But then there were some other good things that they started to notice, in crisis situations, if a kid needs a blood transfusion or an organ or something, and then the dad is like, come on, cut me open and give him my lung or whatever, and they're like, we can't, you're not a match. And then so that was happening so much that's what I think somebody told me that's what prompted the further studying and investigating of it. So it is an issue. It is a thing out there, but I still question how solid that 1 out of 4 is, but it's either way, it's still a lot. It's still a lot. We're talking about married one. We're not talking about baby mamas and baby daddies. We're talking about actual card carrying, married, contract, legally binding documents, married people in the U.S. 1 out of 4 who go check it it's bad. It's bad. It's bad. So I don't want to make light of it in any way, shape, or form. 1 out of 4 married Nigerian women. Yeah, he did clarify that he was talking about. So good. Let's dig right into that why. We got 81 people in the building. 81 people in the building. Let me hit the like button because I haven't even, I did do it. 81 people in the building, 40 on the like. So make sure y'all go ahead and hit that like button, let people know you're in the building. But let's get right into it. Why is it so low in Nigeria? Where are they hiding hiding the bodies of these women who want a divorce? They're not letting them leave. There's a lot of privately dug graves in the backyard, a lot of beheadings. It just has to be all bad. So go ahead and break it down. Why is the divorce rate so low in Nigeria?
And I think that this paternity fraud and unfaithfulness and so on and so forth is an aspect of, in other words, relationships, marriages, so on and so forth, and just people in general are messy, they're chaotic, it's crazy. The acceptance of that, while still keeping thinking that that it's important to have a superstructure in place of certain institutions such as marriage, for example, I think is one key aspect. But before we get there, I wanted to ask, how did it come up? Because I didn't see the stream. I think I heard a clip, but I think that was from the lead attorney. Game Changer was playing a clip from the lead attorney, and somebody was talking about the marriage rate and so on and so forth. But I don't think that was from your show. In other words, why, number one, are you curious about this 1%? Other than the fact that it's like, how could it be less than 1% compared to, and also how did they come up in the conversation, if you will? So what's the curiosity about this 1% thing?
Well, I think it initially came up because you mentioned it, right?
Okay.
You mentioned it, and then it came up later when we were talking about divorces. When I don't know if it was when I did a one-on-one with the lead attorney, or if he was just on the panel, or something happened, and then I think I mentioned it again because I just found it fascinating. So I kind of smuggled it back into the conversation, more or less. So so yeah, that that was how it came up. And then you asked me, why is there a fascination with that?
No,
With the
like
number?
I was just trying to see, let's say from your perspective, what you want, what is interesting about that number. Like, do you, because well, I guess you already said it, but you said it perhaps in a way that maybe seems jocular, lighthearted, like, oh, they must be, it's sandwich or die, right?
Yeah, well, okay. I do think it's fair to say this, that if people are getting together and staying together in that way, it's one or two things. It's either a strong cultural system where, hey, when we get married, we stay together, thick and thin, death do us part, end all be all. That's that. Nothing to discuss, nothing to talk about. We're married, and God damn it, we're married, and we're not separating. That's one possibility. The other possibility is, if I is I would think that women, to some degree, this one possibility. I don't know this, but I would think that it would be a strong possibility that women, to some degree, um don't necessarily have the freedom, either the freedom to leave or the incentive to, there's no incentive to leave. One or the other. One or the other, either the lack of freedom. Like, for example, if we look at, and forgive me for everybody, every Middle Eastern person, I know very little about the culture, but I tend to believe the same group of people that make their women walk around in sheets, fully covered in sheets, can't show their face, nothing visible but their eyes, and that's only because that's only so they can see where they're going. If they can get them to walk around completely covered, they would. So they have to give them the eyes so they can see. But that's
You're like, damn, I guess we gotta open the eyes.
But I tend to believe a culture where the women have to leave the house dressed fully covered in sheets. I tend to believe those women don't have the freedom to say, you know what, I really don't like this marriage thing. I kind of want to try something else. I tend to believe they don't have full freedom to do that. So there's a strong cultural aspect of it that it could very well be. Then there's the lack of incentive of when you look at the alternative of a woman not being married. Then there's also a they don't have the freedom. They don't have the freedom aspect. One of those three.
Yeah, so I you know, as these things tend to be, it's all three. But let's kind of take it piece by piece. Okay. So the overarching answer is this. Well, first of all, Nigeria is half Muslim, half Christian, right? So a lot more Muslim than, let's say, in America, for example, or certain other places. So the northern part of the country, where people like Jermaine Habib are from, I believe, is heavily Islamic, and then you have the southern portions heavily Christian. Now, the answer on one level is women check other women, making sure that they don't leave. Now, it's like, okay, well, what do you mean by that? Well, women will perpetuate and sustain whatever cultural norms you set in place. They're the one with the shaming mechanics and the shaming dynamics and the keeping people in check. They're the snitches, right? We kind of know this, generally speaking, right? That women check other women. Women check everyone, generally speaking, in society, and make sure, oh, you don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. Okay. But that's not particularly interesting. That's just a fact. A fact is that's kind of how the mechanics is working, but the culture that is in place that they are perpetuating is the question. What is the nature of that culture? And you're saying, well, is it the case that, you know, it's just some, you know, either, again, the strong culture or not having the options, right? You know, or not, you know, it being the best option, right? Or not really having the freedom. I would tell you that Nigerian women are free, okay, to kind of do whatever, they're free to leave. So it's not that. If you take us back to the conversation where we had about reinstantiating or female chaos, let's say, right?
Yeah.
Female chaos. Now, when we both talked about how female chaos was gone, and then when our female chaos is now reigning because the warden, the warden is no longer there, the inmates are taking over the asylum, and so on and so forth, right? When we try to bring back order, it wasn't chains and whips that we were talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about things such as, you gotta give them a role, you have to celebrate femininity, and also there has to be a strong sense of community, right? There has to be this shared story. I talked about mythology. We talked about the clothing, the style, the this and that. You have to celebrate femininity and give them a reason to want to be, for the family to be there. And something to mention is this. People talk about single parenthood and they talk about how screwed up it is for the children. It is screwed up for the children. And there is an actual understanding of this. Like, people are not stupid. You don't need sociology, anthropology, or studies, right? What I mean by people is just human beings writ large, tribal people just coming up, right? You don't need these studies to know that, hey, no matter what, you stay together because the kids, otherwise your whole society will crumble. So you got to have priorities. Some people say, oh, well, who cares about, if everyone's cheating on everyone else, seems to be the case, right? Which is not surprising, right? It's like, why would it be surprised that people are cheating on each other? It's like, come on. It's not like we're not children. We weren't born yesterday. Yes, there is a large cohort of people doing stuff, right? Of which maybe some of you in the chat are participants in that kind of thing, in one form or the other. So, but when you understand that there are priorities, and by you, I mean there is a culture that emphasizes that, hey, we cannot screw this institution up, because if we screw it up, everything collapses from there, right? So, number one, the women are checking each other. Number two, they are free and they willingly check each other. They willingly stay. Well, why? Because those things that we mentioned in our stream earlier about, them having a place, them having honor, celebration, and status. Status is the one word, right? A woman in the marriage, staying in the marriage, keeping her family intact, is given status. Now we know, because generally speaking, people know that is the women that tend to leave, right? Mm-hmm. So take, for example, and it's common when a woman is about to get married, they tell her, like, don't come back. They don't usually tell the man, oh, don't. It's like the parents of the people of the woman, right? The parents, family, blah, all that kind of stuff. It's like, you ain't coming back. This is it, right? Because they know that you tend to be the one that wants to come back. That culture there is strong, that you don't leave, you don't mess it up, you don't break it up. And then you have status, you also have a role. I'll say this one thing, I'll stop, but because the main thing I'm saying here is that there is that status and there is that role, there is that recognition. Women have always been free in West Africa. They controlled commerce. In other words, men go out and work in the farms, and women sold the stuff. So that's huge. Also, something that I don't think is well understood here is that women control the commerce of the house as well. Over here, there tends to be the idea that, okay, well, you need to control everything, the wallet, the this, the that. It's like, not really, okay? If a woman knows that she's a woman and knows that you're the man, she controls the purse strings and the spending and the commerce of the house, and also the commerce of the society, especially in West Africa, especially in my part of West Africa. They are the ones that run the markets. Men go out there and do the farming and do all the hard work. They take the goods and they sell it and they do all that kind of stuff and make the cloth, blah, 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 blah. So they have a sphere of their own totally, and they are free, and they're recognized for doing that kind of stuff, and they check each other because there's status in that, and they don't want to mess things up.
Yeah, you said a number of things that jumped out. One of them that I'll deal with is you talked about how it sounded as if you said there's a hierarchy amongst women if you can keep that marriage together, more or less. Is that's accurate? That a woman who leaves is looked at as just shameful. She's the bad wayward woman, but the women who I guess, keep it together for longer are celebrated for it. That goes back to what you're talking about celebrating femininity or various things. Is that more or less what you were talking
Yeah.
about there?
So yeah, exactly. So when people say like, you know, a good family woman, maybe out here in the West it sounds a little tongue in cheek, but a woman that actually keeps, that doesn't leave, that stays, you know, keeps the family together, that's huge. You know, it's like, and that kind of thing where you are, there is a community there, these people feel like a people, and in Nigeria it's tribes, not necessarily the whole country. It's not like, oh, we are Nigerians. That is that's part of it, but it's more of a tribal thing, so it's even more granular, more community, right? So it's like these people are known for this kind of thing. That woman over there in this neighborhood, she's a good woman because she kept her marriage together.
Well,
That's
thing,
key. Yeah.
it kind of gets celebrated out here, but out here, you know, it gets more closely associated with right or wrong. It gets closely associated with, oh, she dealt with abuse and she dealt with cheating and she just stayed this long suffering woman. You know, that's what it ends up being. So I guess I gotta ask: is it an aspect of that over there? Like they're celebrating the long suffering woman, or are they just celebrating her just genuinely being a good woman and not wrecking the home because she has freedom to do so?
Yeah. So there is a point there that you mentioned, which is the long suffering aspect. Okay. But if I just sidestep and talk about, well, are they consciously rewarding the long suffering, or they just, it's like, it's not that logical. You know, that's not what's going on. They're just gonna, again, women will check each other based on whatever system you instantiate. They will perpetuate it. They will shame each other. You don't go out the line. They stay on code, as people like to say here, right? So the long suffering aspect that I want to mention, and I think I mentioned it before, and it is a key aspect, is that, look, in these places, people don't expect marriage to be perfect. Over in the West, people say things such as, oh, well, it's better to just split up rather than for parents to be arguing. It's like, in Nigeria, it's like, yeah, maybe dad smacked mom that one time right across the face with a frying pan. Or who knows? Whatever it may be, right? In other words,
With a frying pan?
Whatever it may be, we expect that it's chaos. We are people. In other words, people think over here in the West, they think that the reason why people argue is primarily, or fight, is primarily because they're the wrong people together. Oh, it wasn't right. It wasn't meant to be. Blah, blah, blah. Look, friction or the chaos dynamics or the conflict dynamics is endemic to each individual. What I'm saying is this: you are fighting yourself most of the time, right? Let me look, okay. Let me get a one in the chat if what I'm saying is clear here. The reason why people fight, even during their honeymoon, trouble in paradise, it's simply because there was someone else there. In other words, if you were left alone, fighting still happens. Do you understand what I'm saying? Or do I got to break it down and get all either philosophical or meditation with you guys? Like, no, fighting is because you're a human being. You're fighting yourself. Your consciousness is split up. We are made up of many different spirits in there, if you want to look at it in that particular regard. We are conflicted to begin with. We are a conflicted creature. You bring someone else close to us, boom, fighting is going to happen. The fact that this happens is not a surprise to people who look at the world a certain way, especially people who also have that kind of a spiritual view of the world. And all the mythologies are filled with chaos and so on and so forth. And they understand that things are not going to work out perfectly. Over here, there seems to be a notion that, hey, unless it's perfect, unless, everything is all rosy, then, then the kids suffer. It's like, no, the kids will be fine. What messes it up is if you leave. That's what messes it up. Look, it'll be fine. There's chaos. Yeah. There's fighting. There's this, there's that. There's trouble. It doesn't, oh yeah, this one is cheating. This one has a family over there in Ghana, but he's over here in Nigeria. Oh, that's cool. The kids don't get messed up from that. The kids get messed up when you leave. And I think it is well understood So I think that addresses that whole point of, long suffering and so on and so forth. In other words, it's expected. People don't have this Disney-fied view of life. So it becomes about life more so than just marriage. People expect chaos to happen over there.
Wow. That is a different take on it. We have a subtle, watered down view of what you said right there, that we're in that aspect of expecting a little chaos, expecting some arguing. I've said on this program plenty of times that even when you got a good woman, there's a certain amount of, I call it management, that you're going to have to do, even when you're dealing with a good woman. But I am very quick to say, when you're seeing some chaos, run, go the other way. Then there's a whole nother aspect of it when, okay, you got married, you have those kids. What do? It's not so easy to just cut and run and go the other way. And I myself in my life, me personally, I hate the me personally thing, but me personally, I had to make a tough decision in that regard. But I can understand that aspect of it when you say that that a part of what it is, a part of what's going on, a part of what they're ultimately doing is embracing the chaos and fighting through it, even if that means a few some open hand smacks and some hot grits getting poured on somebody from time to time.
The kids will be fine. Will be fine.
Little hot grits never killed anybody, just going to throw a pot of hot grits on them, or a few open hand smacks, no big deal. All right. That's horrible. But all right, hey, if families are staying together, there I said it in the building, says, when I proposed to my wife foreign, I could think he's saying his wife is foreign, she immediately warned me that she does not believe in divorce. Her mom echoed this before marriage. Yeah. Even Kevin Samuels said, well, he said plan. I think he said something about you got to plan to get together, the marriage, and you got to essentially plan the separation. Like, we come in ready planning the separation. That's essentially what a prenup is, what I talked about with the lead attorney. The lead attorney, we ultimately talking about full-blown planning the separation. And so we already come into it with the mindset that this might not work out. So let's get ready to plan it out, to plan the separation. Snuggles in the building says, do women have the luxury of not being able to know how to cook and clean in those families or marriages, or am I wrong for that thought process? And before you answer,
hi, I'm Snuggles.
Shout out to Snuggles for the super chat. And Ike, go ahead, you got it.
I think that it is part of, your claim of being, regardless of what else you're doing out there, because you may know, Nigerians are all about education as well, men and women. It doesn't matter, right? You got to be educated. Regardless of, yes, I'm getting a PhD in chemistry and I'm doing this, that, and the other. It is also a huge part of your status, right? Huge part of your status as a woman is based on the attribute of being able to keep a home and keep it well, right? You can do these things which she mentioned, quote unquote, cook and clean. The idea, though, of making it sound like a cook and clean, but it really is about keeping a home. Whether you have maids that are cooking and cleaning, you still have to be in charge of what gets cooked, how it gets cleaned, the design, the aesthetics, and so on and so forth. In other words, if you don't have some good home ec, then what kind of a woman are you, is the idea. And yes, the women will snicker behind your back because, again, as I said, this is women regulating each other. This is not about, in other words, the system is instantiated. People understand that the kids need a family structure. Out here in RP spaces, I'm not gonna get any pushback when I say, hey, if you let that structure fall down, people are gonna be screwed up, especially boys. You're gonna have BANs out here that don't know how to be men. How does that happen? Because single parenthood. Hence, there's a priority placed on it. Secondly, there is an acceptance of chaos, which the world out here tends to be Disneyfied. I get it. It's individualistic, and also there's freedom and equality emphasized over here, right? People tend to be like, well, if I don't have my perfect blah 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 blah, and also it is the women that you again have to stop from leaving, okay? Because they will be the ones that are tend to do something that is more emotional. It's like, okay, of course, it's the more emotional one that you have to stop from leaving. And by instantiating the culture, which then whereby they check each other, you know. But if you don't, the other thing is, look, the external factors too, in the sense that if you don't see anybody else leaving, right? Yeah. So that's why this is not a talk about, how do you copy it? How do you? It's like no. I think we already tried that in our other conversation, and we saw that it's a big task to try to reinstantiate order, right? But a big part of how order perpetuates itself is that you see it around you, right? No one else is. So for me, for example, the idea that, people just get divorced, the way I grew up, it just doesn't happen. But chaos in the family, of course. Yeah, uncle this and aunt that and all that. Yeah, chaos, it's fine. And we're still good. And we still come out here and we still kick ass. And that is the reality. Even if you go back to in the West, if you look at your grandparents' generation or whatever generation it was that kept marriages intact, you think it was perfect? You think there was no chaos? No, people are chaotic. Somehow we're able to deal with it. And it's simply just accepting it, So yes, women do have to know how to keep the home snuggles. Otherwise, they don't have that badge of honor that comes along with it. Otherwise, it's like, well, what's the point, right?
Shout out. Snuggles. I don't even want to read that one. I will.
Hi, I'm Snuggle. Snuggly softness. That's really less expensive.
That is not true. I'm like 8th in her rotation anyway, so it doesn't matter. All right. Oh man, we need to stop that. A Soar of Seed says support for these special series: manhood plus entertainment plus philosophy plus education equals. You put question marks. I don't know what it all equals, but shout out to you. Appreciate the super chat. Thank you for coming on through. And I don't know why I always.
What do we get for $10? Everything you want. Everything? Everything.
The $10 super chat. I do like how you broke down and analyzed everything that goes on here. I do like how you did that. Shout out to Astro in the building with the $5 super. He said we got to stop these simp talking points. Once you get married, you're under a female. Come on, stop the mess. Just say you marry not to be alone. Okay. The topic of the show is why do Nigerians have a less than 1% divorce rate? That's what we're talking about here. And we're just getting understanding and clarity as to why. So I don't know what simp talking points you're referring to when you say once you get married, you're under a female. I don't know what you're getting at, what you're talking about. You can clarify in the chat and explain.
Yeah, send another $5 and clarify.
Yeah, I definitely want you to clarify that. I mean, there are some conversations and there have been some arguments that have taken place on this show where somebody was there's been people making some arguments that I'm not even going to try to rehash out right now. There's guys who don't want to get married have been shamed from time to time. I will say that there's been some not wanting to get married shaming going on. I'm not with that because I understand that not getting married is, like as me and Ike talked about, not getting married is one of the proper responses or acceptable responses to the current situation here in America. We talked about how, yeah, that's an option. That's definitely on the table. What Ramil does is there's internal logic there. There's consistency there. And that's how, so
Yeah, but to Astro's point, okay. I mean, there is a point in there, right, that I could just pick out without him clarifying, right?
okay.
The point in there is, shall I say, let's call it black pill, okay? In other words, understanding what the hell is really going on, right? Go savage mode and then say, okay, what's really happening? So when you do choose to get into this institution, right, of marriage and let's rear children and so on and so forth, it is because you understand that the outcomes for your group, it is a sacrifice, especially for the men, okay? You can say both parties as well. It is a sacrifice that you're making because you're no longer this typical marauding, uncivilized people, which we want to be. I'm a marauding, uncivilized SOB. That's what men want to be. We want to be out there in the battlefield. We want to be screaming for Sparta or whatever. We want to be, beating our chest about whatever it may be. But you're not going to last as a group if you do that, right? So, and then, because again, when we look at certain groups of people, right, and we say, oh, marriage rates are falling, single motherhood, therefore look at the kids we're producing and so on and so forth. I keep on harping on that because that's the result. However, 100% you make the choice, right?
That's the point. That's the point that I was trying to get to.
No one is out here. Plus, again, you're right to mention that the topic is not about whether you should or shouldn't do anything. This isn't just an actual sociological, anthropological conversation. It's a philosophical conversation, which I think people are allowed to have, right? So without getting emotional about what choices are being promoted or not, no choices are being promoted. But I get the black pill. I get it. And I am naturally 100% a black pill kind of person. I just call it philosophical. In other words, I start things from first principles. And I understand 100% that it is a sacrifice. But we know what the sacrifice produces. It produces stable societies that last long because it produces decent human beings. You do it the other way, you get crappy people.
Yeah. But, I shouldn't even say but. In addition to what you just said, I do want to make it clear. I fully support a man making his own free decision in a free country on how he's going to move. I support that. So yeah, I'm not about twisting the arm of somebody. And it's easy for me to say that because to compare it to a prison sentence, it's almost like I've done my time. I was married 13 years. I've been there, done that, had the custody battle, got my kids. So I've served my time. So it's easy for me to step back and just have perspective on it. But so the individual man who have not served his sentence yet, I understand him saying,
Yeah,
I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah,
ahead. Go ahead. No,
the one thing that I just want to kind of say about what he said about the alone thing, it's like, that's kind of like, it's like unnecessary. I think we already talked about that guy that goes from relationship to relationship. That's how we started that thing, right?
Yeah.
And I already kind of told you how I feel about that kind of thing, right? And generally speaking, I think that men generally are fine with that whole live alone, die alone thing.
Yeah,
Plus,
that's
yeah.
That
Plus,
is the part that I was missing of what he said. I would just hold your thought real quick. I don't think men get married because they don't want to be alone.
Yeah,
because I think most men are okay being perfectly single and then just occasionally getting some strange to come through. And a man is good. Like a man could live like that and have no regrets other than if he wanted a family. If he always wanted a family and wanted sons and wanted all of that, then he may get to the point of some regret. But overall, the living alone and dying alone thing, I don't think men care that much about that.
Yeah, so I think it was kind of engaging in certain kind of shaming tactics there. But 100%, it's okay. And I can speak for myself as well. As an introvert, creative type, I have very little to do with, needing people around me. 100. I don't, that's not what it's about at all.
Right on. W. Alfonso in the building. He says, I just want to hear the super chat so I can two-step. I just want to hear the super chat so I can two-step. And that would be the...
These last $2.
Appreciate you coming on through with the $2. Appreciate you.
I like how you mentioned sons. Anyway,
what's wrong with that?
No, 100%. I'm just, I like how you mentioned sons. Yeah.
Was I supposed to mention daughters? Is that?
No, I like how you mentioned sons. That's all I'm saying. I hear you. I hear you.
Who the hell wants a daughter?
Hey,
I heard one guy. I heard one guy. He was married. They had their firstborn son, and he said he wanted a girl, and I'm like,
that's kind of strange. That is strange.
I didn't understand that. I can understand if you've had 2 or 3 sons, and then now you're having your 4th child. Okay, yeah, I like a girl now. Just I get that. I get that. I can understand. I can understand one of each. I can understand one of each. But if just one out the gate, first one out the gate, yeah, you definitely want a son. I don't.
Yeah, that's strange. Right? Why would you? Yeah.
Yeah, like the whole concept, the term #GirlDad. That was just created just to console the guys that don't have sons. Like I worked with a guy. He actually went through a divorce. Speaking of all of this Nigerian divorce rate, went through a divorce, paying child support for his 4 daughters after the divorce, taking a sizable percentage of his net income. Yeah, he almost shed a tear on an assembly line in steel toe boots working. But either way, but no, great guy. He just didn't work out. Me and him would talk all the time. I would talk about how I had sons and was coaching basketball and doing this, and he was like, "Oh yeah, man, me too. Yeah, I was taking her to a dance recital," and it's like his voice is cracking because I'm talking about football and basketball practice and all kind of cool stuff like that, and he's just like, "Yeah, dance recital," and she was dancing, and yeah, I'm like, he sounds so sad talking about it. I was like, oh man, but he's more than likely not having no more kids, so he tried 4 times and got 4 girls, and he's a little he loves his girls, but he's a little disappointed never had a son. But anyway. Anyway, Snuggles in the building with another super chat says, wait, hold on.
Hi, I'm Snuggles.
Says, are the laws in Nigeria catered towards men or women? That's kind of broad, but I guess you can take that wherever you want to take it.
Yeah. Before I answer that, I would like to say something, because I think that there is a perspective question here, and that's why you're asking me. If I grew up in the United States and I was, let's say, whatever you want to call it, African American, let's say ADOS, if you want to, I would not be getting married. So this is not me telling you to get married or not.
Back up. Say that again.
I'm not telling anybody what to do, okay? But what I'm telling you is this, that if I grew up in America, I would not do it. Because I just know myself. It took me this long to do it, right? Right? And when I did it, I went over there, right? So there's something about the perspective, which is this. Growing up, all the things that are said here was never an issue. I never saw that. No one ever left. There were no such thing as divorces. Families stayed intact, so on and so on and so on. And we're talking about the reasons why today, right? But when you grow up in that kind of a situation, you just it is different. In other words, that sacrifice aspect is absolutely clear. It's like, yeah, this is a sacrifice. But yeah, if you don't do it, things will be screwed up and your whole society will come crumbling down, right? The tribe will fail. How will things work? Blah, 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 those kinds of things, right? Because then we go into the law. We don't have a social safety net that rewards bad behavior, right? That is one key aspect of this, right? So it's not like you can say, oh, well, let's just outsource our culture to this being called, this abstract net up there of bureaucrats that'll take care of things, which we know leads to utter disaster, right? You cannot outsource your culture to it. So I want to say that there is a perspective question, and I think that's why you're here asking me this question to see, well, what is the perspective of somebody who grew up in that kind of environment? In that environment, no one ever leaves. So it doesn't, no one in my family extended this way, left to the left or to the right or whatever. None of my granddads, 11 wives left, all my on both sides were both polygamous. And then you take all the other family members of a large family like mine, no one ever left. It was never, these conversations just don't happen. But the chaos was going on and the craziness is going on, and the notion that it is sacrifice, blah, 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 is there. But also, I know 100%, if I was here, yes, all those things that we said about what a man needs to do, given the situation, which was one of our first conversations, right, is absolutely clear. That, look, you got to understand that, look, women over here don't need men anymore, right? The lower half of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the protection and provision, has been outsourced to this gray abstract net of bureaucrats so that women can get it from other men. They get the protection and provision from, firefighter, law, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Plus also the rewards or the promotion of femininity, so on and so forth, not there. So women will not check each other based on that. They'll rather go, oh, you go, girl, and do all that kind of stuff and do whatever you want kind of stuff. And why the hell? So I understand 100%. So the conversation is not what some people might think it is. You just got to understand that I'm coming from a totally different place. And again, as I said, it took me this long to get into this business because I decided, okay, I want to do a couple of things because it's an arrangement. It's a business, right? So I want to do this business. And I went and I found a business partner and did the signing of certain things over there. That's kind of key. So more on the law thing, I mentioned that we don't have laws that reward bad behavior. So it's not a question of catered towards men. It's catered towards order. And if you want to say that, well, that's more of a man thing, well, you could say that's more of a man thing, yes. But the laws are catered towards order. And you don't have social safety nets that reward bad behavior that will then let people do silly things and F up the future. You F up the future of your whole society.
Back in here with another one.
Hi, I'm Snuggle.
She says, are men polygamous by nature? Yes or no? I'll pass that
Yes.
to you. Yeah. I was going to give a long-winded answer, but I was going to land on yes as well. Yes. Yeah.
Polygamy for men, hypergamy for women. And these are two things that we need to understand and accept. And we do understand and accept. Yourself as a man, when it comes to the sexual marketplace and so on and so forth, is you check that you're not out there just trying to spread your seed into everything that walks. It's once your balls refill, you're just trying to, throw it out there to the next thing walking, right? You got to check that. But it is absolutely natural that that's what you want to do. What does she want to do? She wants to move up. She wants to find the next. A man is not looking for something better. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He's just looking for something else.
Yep.
A woman is looking for something better. He's always looking for something better. What's the guy getting him? He's trying to figure out this. Does he check the 12 point list on the right side of the ledger and the other 24 other wish lists that I have tucked under the bed? That's a woman's thing. Man doesn't give a crap. It's like, oh, look at that. Another cocktail waitress. Oh, look at that. Oh, this. Oh, look at that. Look at the usher over there in the church. Oh, look at that. The pastor's wife. Whomever. It doesn't matter. So naturally, that's how we roll.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You don't see too many monogamous mammals. That's just what I always say. It's monogamy. Monogamy isn't our thing. As far as mammalian creatures, it's just not. It's a social construct. And I made a point. It's a show. It's on Patreon, I believe, where I was playing on the viral or social media thing. I think Lil Duval started it. # Black men don't cheat or whatever. I don't know who started it, but I was saying black men don't cheat or / can't cheat. Because it's a social construct. It is truly a social construct. But I made a case as to why it's not necessarily a bad one. There are a lot of things that are social constructs that are good, that can help society function a little better. So there's that. People committing to each other. Not a bad thing. But so it's nuance to it, but overall, no. The simple answer to the question, we would be definitely lying to ourselves if we tried to say that human beings in any way, shape, or form were naturally monogamous. No, it's a fight to be monogamous if you choose to live that life. Some people do everything's on a bell curve. Some people do it easier than others, but it's still a fight, something that we have to constantly work on. Snuggles.
And before you read Snuggles thing, this is something, okay. Dealing with African women. And let me mention this, okay? There's another thing, because you mentioned the freedom aspect of, are they free? Not only are they free, these are your, what we call Bantu women, right? Bantu women are, they're concentrated in West. In other words, you have the Cushitic tribes, the Nilotic tribes. Well, not really tribes, these are races. In other words, there are different races in Africa, right?
Mm-hmm.
Black people are not all one. Like, like the tall black model type. There are certain kinds of models, really dark skin, like women. Those are from the Nilotic people. They're different from the, let's say, the Cushitic people, whom are like the Ethiopian type people, right? Which they look different. The Bantus, that's you and me, Nigerians, Edo's people, right? West Africans, right?
Mm-hmm.
More testosterone, crazy people, right? So we're talking about that group as well. So we're not talking about these demure, shrinking violet type women here. Okay.
I was going to bring that up because when we talked about testosterone and masculinity and women, I forgot exactly how we were touching on it, but you were talking about how Nigerian men are pretty fiery and amped up, and Nigerian women are in many ways no different. And so,
yes.
I think you said a Nigerian woman and an Ethiopian man won't match because the woman will probably be more chest beaten than he is in some cases, whereas a strong, dominant, masculine, chest beaten Nigerian man, he will mesh well with an Ethiopian woman because she's more soft and feminine and demure and all of that. So the two of them will match well. So that's a question that I was going to throw at you is, we talk about here in America, ADOS women being masculine and having their, strong, you can't handle a strong black woman type of attitude and everything. But it sounds like, based off everything that you've told me, that Nigerian women are just as
they are Nigerian women. Most of y'all are Nigerians, as you know.
Exactly. So I found that part interesting, that they've effectively, in a collective way, wrangled the Banshee over there.
So the Banshee is free to do that. However, it's a question of software. It's like, we already mentioned certain aspects where it's like, okay, no one's leaving. They check each other. There is status in actually keeping things in check. You don't have, there's certain external factors such as, the law and safety nets not rewarding bad behavior. But also, there is this thing that, the last thing I mentioned was like, look, this is the male sin, and this is the women's sin. Women's sin is she's always looking for something better. The man's sin is he's always just looking for something else. Now, these African women, one thing you notice about them, I mean African women from Africa, is they accept this 100%, as in, that's how men are. Like, that's how men are, and they expect that that's how they are too. In other words, in a society that's closer to nature, people understand their nature. There is no need for you to give a speech about female nature or male nature. It is just kind of understood by the most illiterate person out there in the street. Hence, there is not a lot of conflict that arises from a man acting like a man, and a woman is also allowed, given the space, to act like a woman. Hence, from that nature aspect, you can then build roles on top of that and say, hey, woman, you do this particular kind of thing and you'll be rewarded for that. And then women will regulate and kind of make sure that, that stays in place. But one key aspect here that I would tell you is like, look, they just accept. They'll say things like, you know what, I'll try my best. I'll do my best to make sure that my man doesn't cheat. I'll try to make sure he does. It's kind of like it's like just kind of assume that, okay, this is kind of this is the lay of the land, or, there's no reason for me to leave just because he cheated, that kind of a thing. This is true. This is just true. Now, this is the same chest beating person that we're talking about here, okay? But because of the software and because of the society and because of an understanding of the nature as opposed to fighting against nature in the pursuit of ideals such as freedom and equality out here in the West, right? Then there is no real conflict, or that the conflict is assumed and it is absorbed in the sacrifice for the whole tribe. Because we know, again, I have to keep on saying this. Do you want, we don't want, or the society doesn't want to have the situation where you're having a bunch of broken families because what happens 3 generations down the line? You have broken people.
You say a lot of things when you start talking about, like what you were just talking about in Nigeria. You say a lot of things that lined up with something that Kevin Samuels said when he was. I felt like he was taking a risk too. So he just spent too much time talking on that high value men don't cheat thing. I'm like, don't lose your audience. You got a good thing going over there. But he was.
Yeah, he was pretty bold with that one, but he's not like. Okay, so I'm sorry, but just on that particular point, and there's the thing also about the Nigeria aspect, because if you go to certain other countries, it's slightly higher in Africa. Let's say you go to Ghana. Okay, no shade to the Ghanaians. Aaron B, I know you're in the house. No shade to the Ghanaians, for example. Now, Nigerian men are a certain kind of men, and this is kind of known all over Africa, right? I don't want to, okay, just to use shorthand, okay? Nigerians are the high value man, right? In other words, they're the guy that'll hustle and whatever, perhaps through shady ways as well, and send you emails and say this or that or the other. And but
I'm glad you admit that.
yeah, no, 100%. Like we are what we are. We know what we are, 100%. You know, if you come to my channel, you know I'm always talking about work, 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 money, money, money. This, you know, mastery, mastery, mastery. Start that next business. Do. And Nigerians are kind of known for that. You know, we're known for chasing money. So this is another key aspect, okay, as to why the women will tolerate certain things. Okay, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, just going back to what I was saying about what Kevin Samuels said, he was ultimately saying that it would be helpful for women in the West to get the notion, the idea, accept and embrace it that yes, men are men. We can't change men. We can't socially engineer them to be something that they're not. So it will just be easier for you to just generally accept, even when engaging in a marriage or relationship, that there's a possibility that there may be some type of cheating that may happen. It's best to understand that going in, more so than just drawing a hard iron fist line in the sand that you cheat, we're done. He said so when I talk about how the women are coming from it from a perspective, how you explained it, you said that the women in Nigeria are thinking that, hey, you know, I'm going to try to do my best to make sure he doesn't cheat because, you know, it'll hurt my feelings if he did. So I'm just going to do my best to try to stop it. But it's going to, if it happens, it happens. So that's
Don't
more or
bring
less
in outside. Yeah,
that's more or less what Kevin Samuels was preaching, that how women need to operate. So that it was
no outside babies, no STDs. Don't shame her. Don't disgrace her. Don't, you know what I mean? Don't do any of that nonsense. Right?
Mm-hmm.
There is a right way. If you're gonna stray from the path, there is a way to do it. And also, you better be bringing in that money while you're doing it.
Yeah, and also, women, y'all ain't off the hook either. We always quote the stats around here. I think 28% of Black men in marriages, according to the Family Studies Institute, or whatever it's called. I forgot what it's called. Something like that. Family Studies Institute. 28% of Black men reportedly cheated in their marriages, and something like 24 or 22% of Black women cheat in their marriages. So y'all ain't off the hook either. Y'all out here wilding. So let's don't curl up in the fetal position, on getting full victim mode based off what's being said here. Just want to put that out there. But Snuggles back in the building with another super chat. I don't know if I read this one or not yet. He says, I think you will just solve the problem with the gender war and Ike's last statement, so you all could start to could start to restructure the family now. That was worded kind of funny.
Yeah, Snuggles types fast, misspells, does not punctuate. I keep warning her to learn how to punctuate, whatever. But I think the last statement that she's referring to, she's saying, well, my last statement solved the problem. That's that last statement of just recognizing the nature. In other words, hey, woman, I know you're looking up. Hey, man, I know you're looking for something else. It is a simple. You sit there, you just sit with that for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And you begin to kind of understand, okay, the nature of the relationship, the nature of the transaction, and then that's why then the rules come up. Okay, cool. If you do something, if you're gonna go out there and stray, these are the rules. This is how you do it, and it's kind of societally understood. You don't embarrass your woman. You don't.
Yeah. Do you think it's valuable for a man to be in a situation where he's with a woman and he's like, based off where she's at in terms of her market value versus where he's at, for him to position it in a way to where I know you can't do better than me. So you ain't going nowhere. You ain't going to be doing
100%.
something stupid. But me, I'm going to exercise some options. I'm the best you can do. But so I'm going to exercise some options. You're going to stay your ass right here at home barefoot.
Okay, good.
You agree with that 100%?
One? Only at 100%. Look, and I, the barefoot part. Yeah, I get what you're saying there. Yeah, fine. But
yeah.
But really, here's the thing. Okay, if you're going to, it's one thing to just go out there and have fun, have a good time, go from either relationship to relationship or one night stand to one night stand. Go out there, mode one in your way through the Western United States or whatever. Right. That's one thing. For that, you may want to even be shooting up, shooting higher, like I'm going to shoot for 10s and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to settle down, it is just simple wisdom, okay? You pick an adjustable 6, to use Kevin Samuel's terms. Why? Do I need to explain? Right? I don't need to explain why, okay? The thing is, a woman's looks are a big part of who they are. And if you don't want to deal with extra chaos, then don't. In other words, the extra bang, if you will, for your buck that you get going between a 7 and a 9 is not worth the extra crazy that comes with it, the extra entitlement that comes with it, the extra expectations, the extra kind of, you get what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. You go to Nairobi, the capital of Kenya, and you're trying to get a 9. It's like, no, she's since she was a little girl. Both her silly dad and the rest of the simps around her have been telling her she's a princess, and she's been expecting all kinds of things. She's expecting the chairman of the Central Bank of Kenya to come sweep her up her feet and take her to fly her around the world to Switzerland and so on and so. That's the thing. But go over there, leave Nairobi, okay? Go to some other little town over there. Still cool, still everything. Find yourself a nice little adjustable 6/7. In other words, she could be a 9. When done up right, that's who you do long-term shit with. Simple.
Mm-hmm. Snuggles back in the building. She says, as you all are talking about the different tribe, can you all bring the pictures of what they look like up and on the screen so we would be educated? Wait, hold on, I've been forgetting.
Hi, I'm Snuggles.
I gotta make sure she don't get upset if I forget to play the play the formal Snuggles greeting. But I don't know which we'll just pull them up.
Yeah, so we talk about the different races in
yeah,
Africa.
Yeah.
So Nilotic is NY. That's on you if you choose to or not want to show pictures of stuff. But I think I did a description. I think we all know the Cushitic people. We know how Ethiopians look, and we know they don't look like Nigerians, right? These are, in other words, African Americans are Bantu people. We're of the Bantu race. We know what we look like. Men, broad shoulders, bigger, testosterone, get built really easily, so on and so forth. The Nilotic people are tall, more slender, and very black. And they tend to be, a lot of the female models from Africa that are Nilotic people. You know, that kind of very dark skin, high cheekbone look. That's Nilotic. And then the Cushitic, and these are just three, they're more different types of people, right? Are, the lighter skin, Ethiopian, game changers, dream girl.
I'm Googling. Okay. They are dark. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm trying to see what you're talking about. Okay, I see. I see. Yeah, you can Google it yourself and get a
Yeah,
idea.
the Eritreans are yes, Eritrean and Ethiopia. In other words, that part of the Horn of Africa. Yeah. So Bantu, we know the Bantu people, and then we know the different kinds, the Nilotic and I think the Cushitic. That's at least three that you can kind of go. Because they're more than that. They're more racist. But point is, there are actually different races in Africa. It's not just about the black. And by race, we're talking about genetic variation and so on and so forth, which makes sense because you're talking about original peoples that, in their original continent. So you're going to have a lot of variation in terms of the different type of people, because that's where, quote unquote, everyone else came from. So they're actually different races in Africa, not just one race.
Yeah, I'm looking at this right here. Let's see if I can get that bigger. Damn it, that is not going to get
I hate when
bigger.
Google does that. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, because I'm looking at over here, it's like they are like abnormally dark, but it's so funny. I saw somebody like that yesterday. Me and my lady, we were walking through the mall, and I saw a girl who was pretty much that dark, and so I just like, okay, I was looking, and it's so weird as black people. We see somebody really dark, and we're staring at them like they're like like there's some weird thing. Like, no, they're supposed to be dark. They're black, but anyway, but like you said, there's different. They're a different shade of dark. Put it like that. They're clearly a different shade of dark, and I noticed it, and it was weird. It was weird to notice it. It was weird to notice it because you would think we wouldn't, because I mean we grow up around all black people, but we do notice that there's serious differences but there's variation amongst black people, because this person it was like I could instantly see it, and because you see my complexion, my woman's the same complexion as me. I could look at this this other person, and I could clearly see that she's technically something different. But we don't look at it like that, because we just say we're all black, we're all one, fist in the air or whatever. but yeah, no, you can see the difference. So it's funny that you bring that up. I saw somebody who I would have loved to ask her if she was more recently from there, from wherever these women are from. I would have loved to have been able to.
And it's also in the facial features as well. And you have like the Afro-Asiatic people too, whom they look more and more Asian. As the Nilotic people tend to start to look Asian. There's a cheekbone thing and an eye thing that goes on with them, right? Along with the dark skin. And the women tend to be very beautiful. As a matter of fact, that's why they use them for, it's that nice, just jet black skin with, like, you want to talk about not aging? That's like the epitome of not. These ones don't get old at all.
Yeah, I actually was like, I thought that they were when I would see that, it is okay, this is my ignorance. I thought that they were doing something with the photos to like darken them up some more, because like for example, the way that the dark skin looks against the white clothing, sometimes it just gives a certain aesthetic. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
I think there was.
I thought they were doing it on purpose.
Videos. Yeah,
exactly. They do it in certain music videos where they will.
But those are actually Nilotic people. They're not like, those are actually what they are. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I've seen. Well, I could be wrong, but I thought that they were doing it on purpose. But you're right. They probably are those people. I didn't notice they had an exact name. The Nilotic. Let me make sure. Nilotic people. Yeah, I didn't know. But asking thoughts on this. Could it be possible that a man wants a daughter eventually to feed an inner need or desire to help raise a better woman? I could see that, but I mean, that's not my first second, perhaps not even third thought when I'm thinking about having kids. But I can see, well, put it like this: if you have a daughter, I can understand a man saying that's going to be one of my contributions to society. I'm going to raise a girl who grows up to be a good woman, and ultimately a good wife, and more important, well, not more importantly, but very importantly, mother to her children. And if she has 4 kids and you raise her well and she raised 4 kids well, then you made a contribution to society that's going to extend beyond your existence. So in that sense, yes, it goes back to what Ike said about duty. With the whole, marriage thing, there is a certain amount of duty that some men have when it comes to all of that. So good question, good thoughts right there. Good thoughts. I like the path you went down right there, but no, that's not my first thought when it comes to comes to having children. What about you, Ike? Push 1 if you can hear or see us. I mean, StreamYard, we look like we back. But the YouTube end of things are...
Says no, it's buffering.
Somebody said they can hear. But how's the visual? Let's talk about the visual. So somebody says we can see you and hear you. I'm being told we're back. Snuggles is super chatting.
Okay.
It look like we are. Look like we might be back. Look like we might be back. Let me do a few more things. Difficulties. I think. Who
else is live? Is Ramil live?
No, it looked like everybody else is. So it's just my Plantation Wireless acting up over here. All right, let's see.
If it's then why would StreamYard be cool? Anyways, I don't know how it works.
It's a weird thing. Sometimes with YouTube, the YouTube will go to acting up or getting goofy for whatever reason, and then okay, we're being told that we're back. We're being told that we're back. We're being told that we're back, so we're going to try to roll.
Maybe I shouldn't use the magic word again. I should.
Yeah. Don't use that word. Okay.
So the reason why I am just direct that way, that was the thought that I was holding on to, is part of the difference between the West and the rest. I was saying, which is that over in the West, people like to paper over our nature. It's like, what I said is true. We understand this kind of in-group preference is true. Mm-hmm. We understand that as boys, we're doing boy stuff in the yard, playing. Girls are doing girl stuff. And when the group of boys say, I don't do girl stuff, we know that that is a real thing and that never leaves. Okay? You know what I'm saying, Bernard? It never leaves. There is no, now I want to do girl stuff. Oh, no, now I want to. It's like, no. We prefer our kind. And that's just a 100% truth. No one need be bothered by it. Part of that kind of understanding is the kind of understanding that is had in Africa. And that's why people are okay with the roles. People are okay with the good, the bad, and the ugly of both genders. And that's why you're able to just ride the chaos. And you have better outcomes with the society at large, with the children being raised and so on and so forth. Because men are men, women are women. Not trying to paper it over with all this kind of egalitarian freedom, Disney-fied type of fantasies.
Mm-hmm. All right, good stuff. What I'm going to do for everybody, because we had a lot of super chats that were on the table that kind of got interrupted by the chaos. We're going to go and dig up those super chats through the analytics, and I'm going to go through all of them. You won't be able to see them on the screen. However, I will be able to read them. So follow along, class. Let's see. Snuggles says, I think you will solve the problem with the gender war. Okay. Oh, wait, no, we read that one. I think we read this one. As you all are talking about the different tribes. Okay, bring them up. No. Okay. Sora of C, we read that one. Seeking my creator, he says, to the chat, women are feminine when they know they need men. Here's a hint. If she doesn't think she need men, she gonna act like fill in the blank. Very well said there. Appreciate you for dropping the $5. Snuggles back in the building with another super chat. Hold on. I'm doing two things at once.
Hi, I'm Snuggles.
Shout out to Snuggles. Appreciate the $5 super chat. Says, can you? Nope. Hold on. Wait. Can you tell which tribe each island in the Caribbean could possibly be from in terms of their personalities and their looks? I think you answered that one, but I suppose you can answer it again.
He's talking about
she.
Caribbean. Oh, she. Talking about
Snuggles
Caribbean
is
now. Yeah, so is she talking about the Caribbean? Caribbean is very far from Africa. But I do know, roughly speaking, certain differences, but it's not like I will not venture to give any kind of distinctions on that. It's like I know the differences between the way they speak. The Jamaican is more. They all in movies, for example, they all make them sound alike. It's all yeah man and boom baklat, all that kind of stuff. But Jamaica is more harsh, more hood with that accent. Maybe Barbados is a little bit more calm and so on and so forth. The Jamaicans, it's in terms of level of just aggression and so on and so forth, it's Jamaica, and then it tends to start going down from there. So I would just give that as a scale if we're talking about the Caribbean, but I'm not Caribbean, so I can't talk too much about that.
She also comes back and says, I see the man is holding this conversation back because it keeps buffering. It was a setup. They do not want to see you all doing great. I rebuke thee. Thank you for that one. And she also comes back with another one, says, now, can you tell me the different tribes in each island? Okay, she retyped the same one. That she thought I wasn't going to go back and get it, but no, I went back in there and got it. I think that's everything. I think that's everybody. I think that's everything. I think that's everybody. All right. Right on. Let me get.
The Haitians. Okay.
What about the Haitian?
My scale is off. My scale is off. Don't listen to me regarding the Caribbeans. Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. So where were we? We were talking about why Nigerians have less than 1% divorce rate. You established that they are free. They are free. However, you could be free but de-incentivized to do certain things. So,
yep.
What typically happens? A Nigerian woman wants a divorce. She leaves. What are the consequences? Other than just people, other than just the other women waving their finger at her, like bad on you. Other than that, what are the consequences? What does her life look like going forward?
So, number one, in order to get that divorce, okay, an actual divorce, not just you left, but you're still kind of married, there is no such thing as, the no fault divorce. They're going to look very critically at the reason why, okay, and short of something really drastic, you're not just going to leave because whatever. I'm not happy, shout out to Coach Gang, right? Or things like that, because it's kind of assumed. And that's why, again, I said that they're always telling the woman, you're not coming back, because they know the I'm not happy phase is coming, and it tends not to happen over there anyways, because it's like, so it's difficult to get the divorce in the first place. When you do get it, right, the payments and who gets the law tends to, now in this case, I would say, tends to favor the father. Right? In terms of child rearing and so on and so forth, because it is understood that men raise better children. if one person gonna do it alone, right? Give it to the man, especially if it's boys. Okay, you can even argue and girls too, right? Now, and then the woman's feelings of, oh, it's my children, as they tend to say, my children. Here's the thing, and this is something that I did a stream called Male Vices and Female Sins or something like that, or is it Female Vices and Male Sins? In other words, where I talked about the differences in the way we are bad, right? So, women are way more selfish than men. Let me say that again. If there's any women in the house, you are way more selfish than men. I'm not, okay? Like, now, men will kill you and do violence, physical violence, and so on and so forth. So this is because the West is very immature in their understanding of evil. You know what I mean? It's, I don't know, sugar, spice, and everything nice, and shut up, okay? You're way more selfish than men. That's your particular thing. Why? Because you're more emotional, and emotions are all about you. It doesn't even take, this is not some deep analysis we're doing here, okay? Emotions are all about you. You don't care about the welfare of the children. You just care about them being your children, and you want to keep them by your side, and you're also probably doing things out of spite against the man, right? So a man tends to be more pragmatic, like, okay, well, and also more empathetic. So anybody who went out there saying that they are thinking that women are more empathetic, someone sold you a bill of goods. Women are not empathetic, okay? They're very into their keeping their own thing. Like they'll in other words, empathy is an objective thing where you look at people as human beings and you try to do what's pragmatically okay for them. No, women do for theirs. Like, my child is going to get all the beans and screw you and your people. We know this, that women tend to play, think of Mean Girls and stuff like that. Women play the in-group, out-group thing more. In other words, they're more social. When you're more social, people tend to think social is all about bringing in. Social is primarily about keeping out. Okay, let me say that again. Social, people tend to think, is embracing. No, social is pushing people away. It's saying this is the inside people and everybody else stay away. Okay, so the more social and the more emotional person is the more selfish one. This is well recognized. Hence, you're not going to give the kids to the mom just because she wants them. The father is going to do something more pragmatic and is going to be more empathetic, generally speaking. Now, go watch my stream on male vices and female sins. In other words, we sin differently. Also, in the beginning of our conversations, we talked about male chaos versus female chaos. Writ large, you could just talk about physical violence versus mental, emotional, and psychological violence. Who perpetrates mental, psychological, and emotional violence? It's the women. Okay, it's what you do. It's what you do as a woman, right? What else could you do? In other words, think about the survival of a woman, right? If I were to give the devil its due, if you will, it's like you need to manipulate people. You need to manipulate men. You just naturally, in other words, they're naturally tuned to manipulate, to try to psychologically and emotionally get your way, and so on and so forth, because you don't have the upper body strength to try to alpha your way through certain things. Okay, so you don't have the upper body strength, so you're going to depend on social and emotional weapons, if you will. Hence, you're going to be sinning in social and emotional ways, which include a deep kind of selfishness and lack of empathy, which anybody who has their two eyes open know that is how women are. That's how they tend to sin, right? And men tend to sin in other ways, just like we talked about hypergamy versus polygamy. There are differences in men and women. The beginning of wisdom is understanding these differences.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Shout out to a sower of seed. Shout out to a sower of seed. Says, thank you, gentlemen. I think I'll go to South Sudan and get a Nilotic woman. Any tips? I don't know if you do tips.
Well, let me tell you this. Okay, so someone also asked something about the tribes that have the most badass, or what tribes. So if you're talking about Nilotic people, generally speaking, they tend to be more nomadic. nomadic people are the most down to nature crazy people. You know what I mean? They're living off the land. They're moving around, right? So Nilotic men are kind of crazy. No shade, no judge, whatever. But what I mean is they're you're expected, to be able to handle a machete. They're the ones out there rearing the cattle, and they got AK-47s on their side, so on and so forth. So any tips for you is kind of update your alpha a little bit when you want to go and try to get yourself a feminine woman in one of these places.
I was just about to say, it sounds like the tip is to just not go. they wielding machetes and AK-47s, and yeah, you gotta go through the trenches out down there to I'm good. But shout out. Definitely shout out to Asura C for the question. Appreciate that. Sick Lid in the building. Appreciate you, Sick Lid in the building with the $10 super chat.
I'll be damned. I'll die and go to hell and play blackjack with the devil before I give you $10. That's what I want to know.
Shout out to Sick Lid. Says, picked up a Nigerian princess from a multi-million-dollar mansion in my Uber. She started screaming I was driving too slow. Put her out on the highway in the rain. I don't believe that story, but appreciate the super chat.
It is a plausible story, though. We already talked about, I said that 9 in Nairobi, blah, blah, blah. That type of person. Plus, we also understand that these are Bantu women, right? In other words, West African women, high testosterone, so on and so forth. Yeah, that kind of crap goes on. And yes, what you do in that kind of situation is to leave her out in the rain.
All right. Fair enough. All right. The divorce rate Nigeria 1%. I find that interesting. So we dealt with it was 3 factors that I said at the beginning of the show. I'm trying to remember what was those 3 factors. It was one is that they don't have the freedom to leave. You dealt with that one. I said 2, there's social
It's the best choice. Like,
yeah, it's the best, it's the best possible choice. The alternative would be bad for them in the event that they did leave. And it was something else that we got into, but I think you did answer the question that said if they, when I think I was just trying to get at would the life look like for them even if they left? Because if the divorce rate is that low there, I'm assuming every woman is attached to a man. Is there really such thing as just some, all the single ladies out there, that they don't really got nothing like that. Every woman is ultimately attached to a man. Like, is there a such thing as
Is there slay queens, but it's a low class type thing. Like, people don't, it's not celebrated. Like, nah, you want to move in somewhere and settle your ass down. No one respects you. Especially the other women actually are the ones who check you and make sure that you don't. So that woman that left, right? Because you asked the question of the woman that left. First of all, I said it's difficult for her to leave because you can't just do no fault divorces.
Yeah,
you guys can be you guys can be separated and so on and so forth. In other words, we talked about the chaos of families, and that one thing that is broken over here is that people think that people bought into this happiness bullshit.
Yeah.
Happiness? Like, what the hell are you talking about? Happiness? And then they say, back to the selfishness of women, right? Oh, it's the kids. I don't want my kids to be unhappy, so I don't want to stay. It's like, it had nothing to do with that. You're a selfish little prick. You wanna leave. You think there's something else better there. We know about hypergamy, right? Just like the man is looking for something else. You think there's something else better. And you're making excuses saying, oh, I don't want my kids to be in an unhappy situation. No, what screws up the kids is you leaving. Kids are fine in unhappy situations, okay? As I said, I grew up in these situations. There is no Disney fairy tale fantasy. Everything is crazy. People are crazy. Why are people crazy? Because we as individuals are crazy, right? It's not because, oh, I have to find the perfect person and then I will no longer be crazy. It's like, no, you're crazy by yourself. You bring someone else close to you, the crazy is going to come out, right? It's going to spark. It's going to happen. This is well understood. So the woman is not going to be respected. She leaves. She's not going to get that, you get the kids plus all the alimony plus child support plus this, that, and the other. In other words, it favors the man. And that's how then I got into the whole selfishness thing, which is because it is well understood that empathy is not a woman's strong suit. No matter how they talk, emotions are not, the people make the mistake of thinking emotions means empathy or being more social means empathy. No, it's the direct opposite. When you're social, you're all about cutting people off. When you're emotional, you're very selfish. These are not the things to, these are not what raises or makes best decisions, generally speaking. And these things are understood in these, shall we say, patriarchal societies, right?
Mm-hmm. Sick Lid says it's true story. Welcome to America. Appreciate that. Okay, we got a live one down there. You dump us with the kids, but we selfish. Okay, I think you came in late. You came in late. All right, going on forward. Did we cover all the bases? Did we round all the bases in terms of that less than 1% divorce rate?
I think that we did. I think that we started off by saying that it is women that regulate other women. Women are the purveyors, the perpetuators of culture. Whatever culture you have, they're the ones that will use the shame mechanics and so on and so forth to make sure that people stay in line, people stay on code, whatever the culture you have. And then we talk about what is the culture that you would have. And that culture is the one that'll give women status for being in the home. And we mentioned that, no, this is not about women not being free. They're very free. This is not about women not having that extra testosterone. No, we're talking about Bantu women here, Nigerian women, okay? But however, they have a sphere, a place where they're given status and recognition, and also, on the other hand, shamed if they don't maintain that. Also, it is understood that this is a sacrifice that makes the entirety of the population for the future better. That if you leave the marriage, you screw up 3 generations down, you screw up everybody. You disordered families, disordered society. Simple. And that needs not be argued about because we see the results out here in the West. You create bitch ass niggas, right? My favorite little term, right? And the quickest way to create bitch ass niggas is to leave. Okay? So it is well understood that women are the ones regulating themselves in this particular regard. And then we mentioned the external factors such as the law. The law is not going to reward bad behavior, okay? And so on and so forth. Plus, the final one is that no one else is leaving. So when I was growing up, nobody leaves the marriages. The overarching thing about all this is that men understand that, men and women understand their nature. It's like a woman is hypergamous, a man is polygamous, generally speaking. The sins, right? When you want to talk about how to deal with people or how to relate with people, how to transact with people, you look at the negative sides of their nature. You don't look at this hypothetical positive, because the hypothetical positive is only hypothetical, but the negative is there. The potential for the negative is always there. It's like a man is always looking for something else. A woman is always looking for something better. A woman is emotional, therefore selfish. A man has upper body strength, so he will do this violent thing, or he can do certain other antisocial behaviors. These are just clear-cut things. When I say a woman doesn't have empathy, it's because she's emotional and social. It's not an insult. One follows the other. And you have tribal peoples who understand this thing. You don't need sociological and psychological studies to know that empathy doesn't go with emotionalness. It doesn't. Emotions are all about me. The more emotional one, the more social one is the one, and also the one lacking the upper body strength is going to do psychological and social violence. The one that has the upper body strength is going to do physical violence, is going to want, anyways. So all those dichotomies are well understood, and the fact that no one is going to be quote unquote happy and that there's going to be chaos, but when you keep the family intact, children come out better. So that BS that certain women say over here about, oh well, I don't want, it's better to just separate the family because I don't want my kids growing up under an unhappy home. You need to be slapped across the face.
Woo-hoo. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Snuggle.
How is it dealt with when a woman cheated on her husband? Is she hauled off and plugged? Does he go in the corner and plead and cry, or cooking extra? That was for you. That was for you.
Okay, so obviously this is an individual thing, right? So it's not like there's some kind of law somewhere that says how you handle it. Now you can look at certain. Also, those nomadic people I mentioned, they also tend to be Islamic, right? Because there's something about they're over there in the desert. In the desert is where you tend to be nomadic. You can just chill in the forest and eat fruit, right? You don't have to move around. But when you get into the desert, then they become more nomadic. So those type of people over there, where you have more of an honor culture, yeah, so certain things happen over there, right? Where you don't want to mess up in certain regards, right? But writ large, things are kind of modernized and so on and so forth, such that it is a modern or a case by case basis. You can send her away, packing out of your house, but not divorce, because, or you just you go do. Oh, it's mainly a thing where there's an understanding where, okay, you do you, I do me, right? She's cheating. Oh, probably the guy was already cheating to begin with, right? So that's the thing. Anyways, and it's kind of just it's generally accepted, and people deal with it. You deal with it. You deal with this kind of natural things that occur, but you keep the family institution as a sacrifice for a stable society. Because if you mess it up, you got into it in the first place, and then you break it, you're screwing up the next generation.
Shout out to Red Sings the Blues in the building. Says, check your email. I will do so, but I don't want to do another podcast with you this month on my podcast. We'll definitely check the email on that. We'll talk about it. So shout out to Red Sings the Blues. Make sure y'all checking out that brother, doing some good content, doing some good interviews over there. All right.
Want to get into it? Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, let's go ahead and get into
move on
that.
to the. So one other thing I wanted to talk about, because, and ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for spamming my channel in the chat. Thanks, yes. Omega Dreads and the other guys. So the kind of things I like to talk about in my channel, as some of you might know, is I rarely get into male-female dynamics in my channel. Now, I understand it. I know a lot about it. I have an open eye about it. If you want to put me in a pill, I'm a black pill guy. That just for me means I'm a philosophical kind of person. It means I understand the landscape. I know everything is a game. In other words, right? Everything is a game. You choose to play the game, knowing fully well the game you're playing and the rewards you're trying to get out of it. And you play to win, right? That's kind of my definition of black pill, right? However, the kinds of things I talk about have to do with maybe philosophical topics, or also mastery of subjective consciousness, mastery of money, mastery of enterprise, getting things done out here in the world, getting ish done. One of the things that I find interesting is aesthetics and the importance of aesthetics. Now, the story tends to be that, oh, this guy puts on a nice suit, wears this particular kind of hat, and has this bone rim glasses and diamonds in his cufflinks, because he is expecting those things to make him something, right? Is like he is elevating himself. But the thing about it is this, and this is a philosophical thing, and I think everyone can understand it. It is not that the thing, and I'm not talking about low-level people now. There are people for whom this is true. But aesthetics, to begin with, it's not that the thing is elevating you, is that you elevate the thing. Let's take, for example, aesthetics is play. And when the child takes up, let's say the child imagine this is some kind of spaceship, and it's like zoom, doing this kind of a thing. it is the child's imagination that bestows upon this thing the majesty and the glory of the spaceship. Now, that may seem far-fetched what I'm saying here, but basically what I'm saying is this. When you give a child when a child sees a stick, a brick, a stone, you take it and you try to bend it, you try to break it, you try to see what you can do with it, right? That is natural for a 2-year-old crawling on the floor. We want to bend the world to our will. Hence, when we go and we say, okay, I need food, clothing, and shelter, I put a sackcloth on, I don't just stop there. I'm like, there's that worm over there. It has this kind of thing that comes out of its whatever. I can take all these things and make silk out of it, right? Why? So I can put my shirt on, right? Now, why did I do that? Is it because I think that thing's going to make me better? It's like, no, I'm playing. And this is what makes me human. In other words, aesthetic is the outward manifestation of human prowess. This is something that more people need to understand. And there are external kind of factors that I'll touch on now about why it's very important, okay? But internally, mammals play, okay? And the kind of play that makes us particularly human is the aesthetic kind of play. Okay, you don't just take potatoes, boil them, and stick your face in the pot and eat them. As a matter of fact, you don't just eat potatoes raw. No, you want to boil them. And you don't just eat it with your face out the pot. You put it on the table. You put it on a bowl. You want to dress the potatoes. You want to perhaps pair it with a good wine. You want to put some candles on the table. You want to have good company and a good conversation. Why are you doing all that? Is it because you think it elevates you? No, it's the same thing as picking up that stick, seeing what you can do with it. This is you bending the world to your will. If there's a special spice in Mars, I was saying in one of our last streams, like it is justified. It is human. It is perfectly okay for us to spend money and our brain power figuring out how we're going to build spaceships, align our mind, body, and soul to fly to Mars just to get this special spice, just so we can put it on our damn potatoes, because we're human. In other words, aesthetics is what makes you human. The people who want to go around saying, oh, no, I just do mere functional stuff. The sackcloth is okay with me, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, why do you bathe? These people bathe, they shave, they get haircuts, they do all these other things. But then they choose some particular ones to say, oh, no, that's this is off, this is weird. Look, and I'm talking about at the highest levels. Again, I'm not talking about, regular people. People who understand what being human is, understand that to go above and beyond in aesthetics and play is a manifestation of human prowess. I'm putting it in a level of play. I'm talking about also sports, athletics, so on and so forth. All these things that we find entertaining, that have aesthetic appeal to our visual senses, to our sense of smell, touch, so on and so forth. We like to see gymnasts and we like to see, quarterbacks or whatever, people that are going above and beyond. This is the human thing. This is all the realm of aesthetics, and it is a realm that's very important. And I think that, anyways, I've said quite a bit, but what do you have to say about that? The fact that aesthetics I see to be a manifestation of human prowess. It is human play. It is what we do, is what makes us not pigs. And it is the same thing that kid does when they pick up that rock and try to see what they can do with it. And you can take it, and it's the same thing to go down to the middle of the earth and mine out a diamond, god damn it, just so I can put it on my tie clip. And it is I that gives the diamond value, not the other way around.
Yeah, it sounds like more so, and you took it a direction that I didn't know that you were going to take it, but it sounds like you're more so talking about humans, I don't know, I guess for lack of a better way to describe it, our lust for just discovery, just wanting to find things. Like you talk about that kid breaking that thing, picking that thing up, breaking it, wanting to conquer it, or going down there mining and finding some diamond at the center of the earth, and I give it value. I went down there, I dug it out, I found it. I give it value. I remember Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about. Well, he was trying to be talked. They were trying to talk him down from the ledge of, how much money should we be spending to explore space? What's out there? What's the point of it? And then he basically just went full on, just talking about just the majesty of human beings pursuing more and learning more and finding out more and reaching out to what's out there and being able to grab it. And he said it's priceless. So you're talking about the little sliver of a dollar. I think he said if you took a dollar and stretched it out or whatever, said how much of that dollar, had to break it down into pennies, 100 pennies in a dollar, how much of that dollar is spent on the space budget. He ultimately said basically it's a fraction of a penny, the total amount. He's like human pursuits of those things that it's hard for me to even explain it, because it's like a next level way of thinking when you talk about just the human pursuit of knowledge and everything. It's how much is that worth? So it's price. So I think when start clicking, got a lot of windows open and like seeing what's going on elsewhere in YouTube. I don't know. That's just me. That's just me guessing. Okay, I'm refreshing. I'm refreshing. We don't know what we're gonna get here. They're just saying a bunch of F's for Frozen. Let us know, because I mean I can see me moving and hear me talking, so y'all gotta let me know.
I think I see the scroll. I see the scroll on YouTube. It says we're back.
Back to life, back to reality. Okay. All right.
So were there super chats and things you wanted to?
Michael Ross, I acknowledge Michael Ross. He just sent the $5.
So now, how does this relate back to some practical things? Okay, this thing I mentioned here, okay, has very deep implications. Okay, in other words, it goes all the way down to religion, which I think is the highest form of art and play. Okay, however, there's something that you can focus it on aesthetics in a wrong way as a man. Okay, so if you focus on the actual sense, just the sensations, right? In other words, your sight, your smell, your touch, which is what aesthetics are about. Things
chopped up or whatever, and we'll wrap it up. We won't do a panel. I mean, well, you had to leave at 12 o'clock anyway, so we only got like 30 minutes left. So so all right, let's go. Yeah, I think let's see if they're going to say that we're back. See if they're going to say that we're back. I refreshed it, and I can see myself moving on YouTube. I can see myself.
Aaron B says we back with his big smiley face. Okay, let me just wrap it up, because it seems like it'll probably happen again, right?
Yeah. Well, don't force wrap it up. Go ahead and try to get out everything that you were trying to say, but just we'll just go ahead. You got it.
Yeah. So Black Curls and Spiritual Logic and Aaron B, I was just saying that look, there is a wrong way to approach aesthetics. That when you're sitting there in that dinner party and celebrating, what you're actually celebrating is the human prowess that made that possible. You're actually play acting. This relates to many, many things, including relationships. In relationships, you have to play a role. But I don't want to overextend the mind so it doesn't stretch too far, so it doesn't snap. But the point is this. You are celebrating all the mining that it took, all the engineering that it took in order to get that gold plate there. Okay, all the tailoring expert that it took in order to make the nice jacket and so on and so forth. It is, and I'm saying that this is just part of an enjoyment of life. And I think that enjoying life is 100% necessary in order to live a good life. knowing how to enjoy life the way that kid is enjoying with that little thing, right? I think that adults, this is one thing that we lose because we forget what we're doing. We forget that we're going to Mars because we're just playing, right? We start thinking stuff is serious. And when you take stuff serious, it's not fun anymore, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, we start thinking that, oh, the suit's gonna make me. No, the suit, you put it on because you're playing. You know that you could just eat potatoes out of a bowl or regular bowl, but no, you went and got a golden bowl for the potatoes because you're playing. You're like, oh, I can make shoes out of this kind of thing, but I wonder what I could do with that special little rock, that tree with that special little bark. Can I put it on around the corner of my shoe there? We call these things, oh, that's just extra. It's like, no, life mainly is about this kind of play. In other words, human life. The rest is just, then you go down, now you're just a mammal, right? All that part we got taken care of. But what makes you different from the pig, right, that just eats the potatoes off the floor is the fact that you want the potatoes to be nicely dressed, put in a plate, put on a nice little table, have some candles, have a nice conversation along with it. And then everything else too. It's a celebration of how all that stuff came to be is what we're celebrating. Now, you talk about, have you heard of the theory of, I think the broken windows theory, right? The broken windows theory, you've heard of it?
No, I don't think so. I
Okay.
might, probably when you tell it, it'll refresh, but go ahead.
The broken window theory is a theory in criminology, right? It's that basically says this. It says that when there are outward manifestations, such as a broken window, of antisocial behavior or criminality or disorder, that there tends to be more, that it starts a downward slide downhill. In other words, if you don't fix the broken window, which is just a purely aesthetic thing, right, in your neighborhood, right, the disorder will increase.
Yeah.
Right. There's so I talked about, play, aesthetics, the fact that there is a right way of looking at it, a way of somebody who knows the productive effort that it takes to put a golden bowl on your table, understands that it's all play, and understand that this is what life is about, that we are giving value to these things, not the other way around. And what I just said there is a deep point, okay? There's a lot to unpack in there. But then I'm talking about certain practical other aspects of aesthetics. So a broken window, urban blight, as they say. If you don't fix that broken window, what tends to happen, right? Number one, the kids whom, let's say teenagers whom are inclined to break windows, they're not going to go break windows in Beverly Hills, okay?
Yeah.
They're going to go break windows in a place where there are already broken windows,
Yeah.
right? The property value goes down. People leave. They call it, if it's a minority community, for example, they call it white flight. When people come back and try to fix the windows, they call it gentrification, which,
Yeah, it's sort of like the same. That was funny. It's sort of like the same theory with you go to a public bathroom and is a public restroom, I should say, because you don't bathe in the public restroom. Anyway, so you go to a public restroom and it's perfectly clean, and you're gonna be careful in there and not guys who piss standing up, gonna be careful not to shake it off and get a few drips everywhere, if it's clean in there. But you go into some little pissy bathroom,
Exactly.
you're more likely to be a little careless with the shaking it off process. And I'll go,
wow, that's a good one.
I got a couple drips on the floor, just blend it right in with the rest of them. Okay, fine. Just turn around and walk out. So I understand what you mean about the broken window theory. If a public restroom, if they keep on it and they keep it clean, the rest of the community of people that need to take a piss standing up will generally help them and not add to the pissiness. Put it like that.
Exactly. So in your neighborhoods, for example, and you're like, oh, well, property value is going down in the neighborhood. It's probably because people are racist. It's like, well, maybe it's probably because the grass is brown, and probably because the things are not kept up. And or if forget minority neighborhoods, go to the other side of town, where it's more cars on blocks, like on cinder blocks, or little old trucks rotting in the driveway, that kind of thing, right? The point is, not only does it don't touch the
the doorknob.
Yeah. So it's not only is it when you look at the final result, is it unpleasing, and yeah, definitely there's not value here. You're not the real estate prices are not up, but it is about that downward slope. And I think you kind of just said it perfectly, because it's in the nature of each individual to want to keep up things that are kept up, or upkeep. By that I mean I'm talking about upkeep, right? The window is fixed, but when the window is broken, when the bathroom is messy, everyone comes in there and is not careful. They mess it up, and it's a slow slide downhill. So point is, an aesthetic aspect of your life is a part where you have a lot of control, regardless of the money that you have or not. You can make sure that you don't take this slide into disorder by keeping up things aesthetically. Okay, so that's one external way in which that this aesthetic thing comes up.
Shout out to the lead attorney trying to get the says I got 5 on it. What a great show, brothers. Love the knowledge you and Ike are dropping. Yeah, definitely appreciate you coming on through. I was actually listening in the clouds. I saw you had what amounted to like a 3-hour panel with like 6, 7, 8 people on it. Be careful with that. I'm telling you, you may seem like, oh, we're just having a good conversation, exchanging ideas, and be careful. It's gonna be a full-blown shootout on your show eventually. It's gonna be some 7.5. See, okay, I tapped out after a while. He said 7.5 hours. Yeah, you got to be careful. If you did 7.5 hours, it probably did devolve to some full-blown niggerdom at that point. So just be careful with that. Sometimes you can do that and everything works out fine, and brothers get together and have good, thought-provoking, insightful conversations. And he said they trap me. Yep, and they will sometimes hold you hostage on your own show and don't let you leave. All I'm saying is just be careful. Be careful. But no, shout out to the lead attorney, but doing good work. Definitely doing good work. Glad to have a knowledgeable brother with some expertise in this space. But shout out to the lead attorney. But be careful. But yeah, where were we?
Yeah. Couple of things so I move on. You might want to decide now whether or not, and I have like 30 minutes or 27 minutes if you were going to open the panel or not.
Well, we've been having all these mess ups and mishaps and buffering and all of that. So I was gonna wrap it up and do a no panel type of thing because everything just kept going wrong. But I'll throw it out there. I'll throw the link out there. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So, I still may wrap it up at 11:45 my time because I smell some breakfast being made. So I'm probably going to wrap it up and go eat pretty soon anyway. So, I'm hearing Game Changer went for Ike Turner. I'm thinking on lead attorney's panel. Yeah. I missed Game Changer. I heard them talking about the aftermath of some of the things Game Changer said. I was going to rewind back and hear what Game Changer was talking about. I think they were talking about reasons for a divorce, or this would be an acceptable reason for a divorce. And that's interesting, leading into what we're talking about here and how we talk about a culture. The first 2 hours or so of the show, more or less, we talked about how different culture has a different view on what would be an acceptable reason. It has to be pretty bad out there for them to say, oh yeah, for everybody to collectively say, oh, I definitely understand. Yeah, the two of you need to separate. It has to be pretty bad out there. But yeah, so going forward here, where were we? What do we have? What were you?
I was talking about so the reason I brought up this whole topic is because there are ways in which people try to attack anything that is quote unquote aesthetic, right? You can even take Kevin Samuels, for example, right? Mm-hmm. And you have these idiots talking about, hey, he's got candle and perfume in his house. It's like, shut the fuck up, you fucking dumbass nigga. Like, what the hell? You're these uncultured pigs out here talking about who's wearing what. why the hell do you even care about what the hell some other man is wearing? But the point is this: you expose your idiocy when you don't understand that aesthetics really is about what makes you human, and it is about play. And everything you're doing, whether from when you started breaking those sticks as a kid to whether you're going to Mars, it is play. Or whether you are worshiping in a church, okay, it is play. And you go ahead and read Attorney, because it's the point I want to make here about low class versus high class type stuff, thinking that, oh, is it some kind of because people want to do that class thing, like, oh, you think or bougie thing or whatever, that kind of nonsense. And I'm gonna dispel that 100% completely, because anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, lead attorney back in the building. He says, yeah, I need to have distinguished guests like Ike on my show so that it doesn't devolve into full trash can fire. Absolutely.
Right as he was calling me a distinguished guest, I was out here dropping, you're a DAN. But no, I, as you know, I think I save choice words for, like, me, I'm 0 or 1. I don't do that middle ground stuff, as you may know. Like, it's like, yeah, this is it. Or like I said, we prefer sons, that kind of thing. I don't do the, I'm gonna like, no. That's BS. But anyways, people say things such as aesthetic pursuits are somehow a class thing. Like, oh, it's for the rich. All cultures, okay, you go to the poorest village in Africa. I'm sorry, were you going to say something?
Well, when you say it's a class thing, an aesthetic pursuit, but so let's look at it like this. Let's go to the hood. The guys who want to wear, the chains, the jewelry, the gold grill, they are, I can't even. They doing all that type of stuff, showing their gold and stuff. It's like those are. They're talking about something that's aesthetic. Are we not? Are we talking about all of that? Now you could say
no. So yeah, that's the wrong approach. I was saying that if you focus on just the topical thing of aesthetics, and that, remember I said, okay, if you are that, those are the people whom are thinking that those things are giving them value. I mentioned right from the onset that it is you that gives the thing value. You gave the diamond value. You give the golden bowl value, because God damn it, why not put a golden bowl there and put just to eat my potatoes? Why not fly to Mars just to get spices, just so I can put it on my potatoes? In other words, it's you that is choosing to do it, and it is a celebration of the effort that it takes. In other words, in order to go to Mars to get spices, right, in this hypothetical world where there's some special spice in Mars, you need science, engineering, know-how, finance, risk, so on and so forth, right? Just like climbing Mount Everest and so on and so forth. You need to align all those things just to get spices. It is about you bestowing value and play in the world. People who do that other thing, that's why I was saying, as a man especially, you want to recognize this as the value of the aesthetic life, and that it is what makes you separate from the pig just eating the potatoes off the floor. I know everybody likes to put their potatoes on the plate and on the table, so you've already begun that journey. You like to wear cotton dress shirts that feel better on you, right? As opposed to not. And then also, people who want to make it like a class thing from this other aspect of things. In other words, they say, oh, it's just a class thing, not everybody can afford. It's like, no. The celebration of aesthetics is common in all cultures. Go to the poorest African village, okay? Every once in a while, they will come out with all kinds of, we're talking about rituals now. Remember I said that religion is the highest form of art, okay? That's another conversation for another day. But they come out with rituals, and they put on their finery, right? The best things. And remember I said it's all play. It's not just about what you wear. All kinds of play. So they do their dances. That's also an aesthetic thing, right? They practice games and sports. It's also an aesthetic thing. These are things that make life worth living. They are also closely tied to the religion of a people, which is the most fundamental aspect of what makes us human, and also what makes life worth living. When we contemplate the highest of the highest, we do these aesthetic things. And for people to forego that, I think that they're missing a big aspect of what makes a human being and what makes living the life worthwhile, especially out here in the West, where things are individualistic and you just go do what you do and you just get your money. People don't understand what the money is for, that they are giving the value to the money, and people forget to play. is really, after all is said and done, why I wanted to bring this topic up. Not only because, yes, there's the broken window theory whereby you keep up, even if you're poor, you can keep up certain things so that you don't go directly into disorder, both for your soul, because it's not just the external things like that dirty bathroom, which will get dirtier and dirtier if you don't clean it, but for your soul as well. If you don't take care of your body, right? If you don't start working out or something, whatever it is you need to do, it's going to get worse and worse, right? That's the broken window theory of you. If you don't have a moral code or things that you will not do, so on and so forth, in terms of your relationships, things you will not tolerate, let's say from a woman or whatever it may be, it'll get worse and worse, right? Things that may seem topical and basic and simple, the broken window theory, I think, applies to all of it. And then finally, okay, the point is this: it doesn't matter how poor you are, every society has, it is missing in the West. But that's why I think I need to bring it up, because each individual now has to go and look at the religion, if you will, of aesthetics, right? The religion of hedonism, to be provocative about it, right? The religion of Epicureanism, that be like, yes, proudly be like, yes, I proudly like to wear the most expensive tie clip I can find. God damn it, because I'm a human being. What else are you doing in this life?
Interesting. Like the way you put that. We do have, and hold on. Somebody is trying to clown me a bit. Says Bernard looked like he giving himself a line up. Come to New York and check out a real barbershop. Yeah, I be lining myself up. Yes, I do. I've been cutting my own hair since I was 14, and I win some, I lose some. sometimes, but sometimes when I want it done, want it done right, and want it looking real nice and neat, yes, I do go to the barbershop. But I do a decent job. But I appreciate the offer. We got Truth in the building. Go ahead. You have the floor. You have the mic. Well, before you go, Sick Lid said, just want to hear the "Me Love You Long Time" lady. Shout out to you. Welcome to the shout out to the $10 nation out there.
What do we get for $10? Everything you want. Everything? Everything. You.
Shout out to Sick Lid. Appreciate you coming through. Now we got Truth in the building. What's going on, Truth?
Hey, what's good?
What's good? You got the floor, you got the mic.
Just wanted to touch on some shit. Ike, you've been killing it. The whole show has been great. I love how he brought it full circle. The broken windows criminology concept to the idea that aesthetics is play, to the idea that actually this play that he's commenting on is something that's so intrinsically important that the moment you stop respecting it is the moment you start to see your problems accrue over time. And that's literally what the broken window is. That was brilliant. I fucking loved it. The only thing I could really add to that is like when I do, so I did have some thoughts, right? So like when it comes to play, I think, funny enough, this kind of ties into something this is just a thought experiment, so I haven't reached anything conclusive yet, but I was thinking to myself that children are, especially boys, girls, when you're focusing on the differences between the genders, they're at their lowest prior to puberty. And that's when there's like kind of more femininity in boys, more masculinity in girls, and it's something that we might expect. And so like dress up, play, that kind of thing, I've always associated that with childlikeness, but at the same time, I don't think that that's a bad thing. So then it made me realize, there is a balance there's a balance to be struck between masculinity and femininity, and that it probably looks something like what a child looks like. Not so much that we should be looking towards like older feminine forms, but rather like the childlike version of, because to me, like, okay, so if you take a kid at age 5 and train him to become a hunter, right, you're gonna beat all of the childlikeness out of him, and that's going to make him more masculine. So really what that childlikeness is that we're noticing, a big part of it is feminine. But I don't think that's a problem. I think it's a good thing. So like, for example, even caring about your dress, your appearance, that sort of thing, like that is, as you connected it to the play, it is somewhat less serious, right? And like everything masculine is everything serious connected to survival. So it's like this appreciation for the soft arts, for the, I don't know, for it, because ironically, I think it goes back into like what men and women do for each other, right? Like the male side of life is nothing but hard labor and kind of grueling, and why even do it? And then the females, they're nothing but the play and the fun, and yet without us, they couldn't even survive. And so we live vicariously through their joy. They live vicariously through our work. And so it's almost like that kind of brings it together. It's an opportunity, because even then we always mix work and play. I don't think I know men to just play. Like if they go golfing, they're making deals. If they're playing a sport, they consider it exercise.
Yeah, Bernard, you used to do blue collar stuff, so you know a lot of play is going on.
Oh,
a lot of
yeah.
hammers are swinging.
Oh yeah, all day. I don't even know how we got any work done sometimes. Yeah.
No, but it's key. The reason I'm doing this because I have a meeting in a few minutes, so I may need to bounce in a little bit. But I think that you brought in the whole male female aspect, and remember, Bernard, we were talking about the fact that the men will go out there, they will hunt down this deer, they just want to bring it on, they just want to roast it and eat it. It's the women that bring in the existential, experiential, aesthetic. Let's cut off the skin and let's do this. How about we take the bones and we hang it, so on and so forth. So it is about this, and I don't like to use phrases like this, like masculine, balancing of masculine and feminine, but it is about that, right? In the sense that there are levels to being, right? And you need to be able to incorporate it all. When you're like, oh my God, I'm just over here killing the thing and just roasting it and eating it, and anyone who puts candles in their room and puts on a suit, he's blah blah, you're just gonna start talking nonsense about him because you don't you have not balanced something out. You don't understand the childlike play, which by the way is always a good admonishment. 10,000 times people will tell you to go back to something that you lost when you were a child, right? Yeah. It's always said, either whether it's the wonder, the courage also, right? If I was thinking about things that I did when I was a kid, like climbing certain places, like Jesus, I would not do that today. You know what I mean? There is courage, there is play, there is wonder, there is a zest for life that adults lose. They become dull, also become stupider. Also, right, adults. So I think that it's all 100% key, and men tend to make the mistake. And the particular area in which I thought we can refocus is to look at this area of aesthetics and understand that it is play. Okay, whether you're watching football or you're wearing tight clips or you're having a nice dinner, and that it is part of what makes life worth living. It is you picking up that stick and smashing it together, and it is you climbing the mountain because it's there, or going to Mars because it's there. Most of the things that we do as human beings is just because, God damn it, it's there. Beyond the pure functionality. Once you get the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs met, food, clothing, shelter, what else are you doing, right? And even the clothing that you got, you're gonna like, hey, why don't you just wear a sackcloth, right? You're going to take that clothing and you're going to elevate it. You're going to weave it out of this, and you're going to take it to the best tailor in town to do those kinds of things. And God damn it, what else are you doing, right? That's a big part of what makes life worthwhile. And I think that, especially as men, we need to embrace that more, because it actually elevates, using the broken glass theory, it actually elevates your performance. You're going to hold yourself up to a higher standard. When you wear a suit out there, everybody's in their best behavior. Isn't that true? When you go out, everyone is in nice gowns and in their finery, and you got tuxedo on. It's a black tie event. No one acts a fool. That is the point that I'm making here. There are many aspects to it, and that's why I brought in the broken glass theory, related it with the play and with the importance of aesthetics. It is an external showing of human prowess, if you will.
Good stuff. Definitely good stuff. We're gonna wrap it on up. I do want to give Ike at least 10 minutes if he needs to prepare or get ready for his meeting that starts starts in 10 minutes. So I don't want to take you right up to 12. Right up to 12. That would be wrong. But shout out to Spiritual Logic Hawking the Buddha says great stream. Salute to Bernard and Ike. We can all become wiser and wealthier listening to Ike. I certainly agree with that. He said, he says, let's listen to Ike. If we choose, we can become wealthier and wiser. I definitely agree with that statement. Shout out to Spiritual Logic Hawk. Appreciate you coming on through. And with that said, we are going to get out of here, right? I didn't know where you were going to be going with that one, Ike, when you had talked about aesthetics. I was like, I mean, I figured it'd be interesting, but it was a lot more interesting than what I thought. I didn't know exactly where you're going to go, but you made a lot of really good points that really changes the way I look at a lot of things. So definitely salute and shout out to you for that, for dropping some knowledge and wisdom and insight on us. We do appreciate it. And once again, thank you to everybody who participated in the stream in any way, shape, or form. We had all kind of buffering issues. A lot of y'all left, but then eventually came back. So those of you who stayed strong through it all, appreciate you. Utopia, thank you for the cash app. You always send a $10 cash app when me and Ike do our streams. He probably sent Ike one. So shout out to
yeah. I think she did. Shout out to Utopia. Or maybe that's there it is. It is. Always. Damn. Yeah. Thank you very much.
You always send both of us a $10 cash app. So shout out to Utopia. And with that said, we are out of here, everybody. Peace. Thank you.